Oh, now I get it. You think that I'm the problem. That's cute.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to part two of the Mika WIlkerson Show. We were going to wrap it up last time, but we're having such a deep discussion about mental health, we wanted to come back and talk about some more. So, welcome back again, Miss Renee, for part two.
All right.
And to kind of give you a recap of what we were just talking about, I'll have her hold her book up. This is the book that we are discussing and if you did not catch this at the first episode, it will be on demand on YouTube. So you can watch this first part to catch up before you watch the second part. So her book, Times Five. I'll let you give a recap of what your book is about.
Okay. So Times Five is a story about 5 individuals coming together in the face of trauma. The Deep, that's the short story. The long story it's a story about me having dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. So it's myself and 4 of my alters, also known as alternative personalities.
Right.
And we were discussing mental health, Black mental health, the stigma surrounding Black mental health. Some people know they have it, some people don't. 20% of the African American population has mental health issues, but as of right now, maybe 3 to 5% are only getting help for it. And so I will turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, with you saying that, when I do believe I saw where you attended an event. Was it the Juneteenth?
It was a Juneteenth. It's called Juneteenth Bash.
Yeah.
Black Author Spotlight on Heritage.
Okay, and when you went, did you get a lot of Black people that were interested, or was there a lot of shying away? You know how
there's a lot of interest, a lot.
That's
had people
good. That's real good.
Talking to me for a while. I passed out my cards because usually you go to book events, people just walk by.
Right.
It's like, I know you're just walking on through, but here, take my card, and you can read about the information. And they would walk away, and they'd be like, "Oh, wait a minute." And so then I'd strike up a conversation with them.
That's good.
And so a lot of people are like, I had 2 women who came up to me and were like, "I think I have this." And I said, "Go get yourself checked.
Wow.
Talk to someone." I said, "Do it now before it spirals out of hand."
Yep.
I thought I had mine under control until one of them spiraled out of hand. And this was the one that was very dangerous for me.
Yep.
And had I not gotten him checked, I could have been, one of the characters on Split and, these other movies and TV shows out there that depict us as, they're criminals and they're murderers,
Right.
And it's like, once you have one that is not good for you, it can take you down a dark road.
Yep.
And I was fortunate that I was already in the midst of getting help. So, she just, okay, let's take care of this one too. And for years, I wasn't diagnosed until I was 43 years old. So I'm 56 now. And, where before everybody was off doing their own things, now we're like this.
Where you guys are all on a level of, what do you call it, like a patience.
Cohesion is what they call it.
Right, yeah, not, wow, one over here going rogue, one over here doing this, yeah. That is kind of where I have one of mine at, like she's a dangerous one where she'll go out and jump into something very divisive, and I'll just be like, this isn't a good thing, and she's like, no, yes it is, yes we go out and I'm wilding out, I'm drinking. I haven't done this in a long time, mind you. Drinking and taking a couple little pills with it, and just letting my mind run completely free with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always end up putting myself in a dangerous situation. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that she's been kind of submerged underwater a little bit, but sometimes when I go through and I get really upset, she comes out in the worst way possible, and I'll just be like, this isn't good, but nope, she'll try to open a car door on the freeway, she'll, while she's drunk, and just try to like tumble out. Yeah, like I told that girl's she's gotta get some help. That's why I said dark humor. People probably think I'm like, why are we laughing at this? If I don't laugh, I will crash out, like in the worst way possible. So, but can you remember anything that you have done that where you're like, that was probably the worst of everything, of all of my situations?
Not really. My alters, with the exception of the 13-year-old boy. So I have Ami, who's in her 30s. She's a movie star, an actress, action star. Yeah. I have Claire, who's a white woman in her like 60s or so. I have Angel, who's a 5-year-old girl. And then I have Shane, who's a 13-year-old boy. And the only time I go down a dark road is if Shane is going through some darkness in his own head. Through therapy, I've learned how to feed him what he needs. I don't like horror movies.
Not to stop you on that part, when you say that, is it something that's triggering Shane? No. Like, he just kind of pops up out of nowhere, mm-hmm. So there's nothing that kind of like, oh my God, this reminds me of a situation that, Shane was in. No,
it doesn't. He's an African-American, biracial teenager.
Yeah.
He wants to see the shoot 'em up and the blood and guts and the gore. That's his genre.
Right.
So every now and then I have to feed his genre just to keep him satisfied.
Right.
Just like Angel. If she's in the mood to color, I got to stop what I'm doing. I got to sit down and color.
Yeah.
You have to feed them.
Yeah.
Do
you feel like when that's going on, if you don't feed it, like something is bad is stirring up and it's going to happen if you can't satisfy that urge that person has?
Yeah, just Shane though. Ami, the movie star, she's the gatekeeper. She keeps everybody in check. But if I get a situation like I've gone through domestic abuse, I don't know how many times.
Right.
And the most recent bout that I had with domestic abuse, Ami came out for about 2 weeks because the situation got so dangerous. She's like, nope, okay, we need to stop this right now.
Right.
And my ex-husband, he didn't really believe in my alters. He didn't help me do anything to nurture them.
Just kind of judging, basically.
Yeah, just like, oh, that doesn't exist. That's all in your head kind of thing. But believe me, when she came out, he knew what was going on.
Like, well, like...
Yeah. My children have seen it.
You tried to warn him.
Oh, yeah. They'll be like, Mom, one minute you'll be like, oh, da-da-da-da. And I guess one of my children was there when it happened. She was living in the house with me. She said, Mom, you went from... And then all of a sudden you just went. And she's like, oh, crap. And she walked out of the room because she knew who was on top. My children and my current man are the only ones who can tell who's on top at the moment.
Who's controlling everybody else.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's probably the darkest time where I've had control taken over for more than, like a few minutes or a few hours, day. It was 2 solid weeks, to the point where he's like, can I please have Renee back? Can I please have Renee back?
Wow.
And I'm like, well, don't mess with me then.
Exactly. Don't antagonize him when you bring out the beast. Then.
That's right. And
oh, wow.
So that's the only time that I really lose control, is when my emotions are out of control. Someone's got to come in and, all right, let's get this back together.
Right.
Yeah, by any means necessary.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, so if somebody doesn't step in, I can't control these anymore. If someone doesn't step in, then it's life or death situation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I have I have adult children, 28 and 36, and I talk to them like my best friends because they are the only ones who have known the entire duration of what I've gone through. And if I'm having a bad day, a sad day, and I call and talk to them, they're like, okay, did you talk to this person? They kind of help, facilitate some of the care for me. Yeah. And they say, oh, your children will be taking care of you when you're old. I'm 56, they're already taking care of me. Because they have seen
the worst of the worst.
The worst of the worst.
So that's why I said when you got people that stand by you and have your side through the whole situation, it helps so much. But when you're going through it alone, it spirals into something. And I think that's what kind of leads to people that feel alone and go around and start shooting sprees because they've been ostracized and made fun of and bothered for so long. They're just like, I hate everybody. They don't care if it's somebody that's innocent. Everybody suffer. And not that I'm in the mind of one of these people. I'm not saying it like that. But stop making people feel like they don't belong.
Oh yeah.
This you're going to cause a lot of this. This is what a lot of people go through: feeling used, feeling alone, feeling like no one has their back. And that is what makes the mental health issues way worse. Be understanding, be loving, be patient. Quit judging because you do not want to be judged by whatever you're going through. And your time will come. Everybody has a time that's going to come. So think about how you would feel if somebody made you feel like the time that you open up that you're a bother, that you're annoying, or they don't want to hear what's going on with you, or you're not important enough. Take the time to listen to somebody. You could be saving someone's life, like for real.
Oh yeah.
Now, tell me more. I know we were talking about the organization at the end of the part one. Tell us more about this Anchors Foundation. Like, how long can people stay on the program? Is it just for however long they need after?
Right now, we're still in the development stage of what type of care we're going to provide. I have a cousin who's a realtor. Women's shelters are the worst right now, unfortunately. They're overcrowded because there's a lot of women who need help and they have nowhere to go.
Right.
A lot of women are stuck in situations that they can't get out of if they wanted to. So Cincinnati's kind of my second home. I have a friend down there now who's going through it right now, to where, you know, she's like, I'm in a women's shelter. She's like, my stuff gets stolen. This happens.
That's a
So
shame.
my cousin is a realtor, and I want to look into her about like getting a house, you know, putting something with a lot of bedrooms in it, so I can have a place to be like, okay, after the system helps you, they just let you go, okay, you're all right now, bye. Anchors Foundation is the aftercare, the follow-up. No one follows up with them. It's, you know, until you sink back in the same pattern again, and then they're like, well, we've already helped you 2 or 3 times. You know, we need to have space for other women.
Right.
And so she's currently at a shelter in Cincinnati, and I'm like, I need to do something. And that's where Anchors Foundation came up.
Is it going to be like a where there's no cost involved for people
Right.
that they'll
It's
get
going to
free
be
help?
a
Okay.
nonprofit. The paperwork's into the IRS. We're getting everything together. I have my board set up. I have everything set up and ready to go. Just got to wait on that piece of paper, you know, from the government.
Right.
And, but I am, you know, taking donations now because these women need help badly, you know, or even, you know, like a decent motel with some extended stay to where we can at least get them a room until they get back on their feet.
Right.
And the website is anchors.foundation, and it's already put together, and I've already started getting donations in. But yeah, something needs to be done. You know, there's already a black stigma about mental health.
Right.
You know, I shared in the first segment that 20%, 19.7% of the African American population
Right.
has mental health issues. Only 3 to 4% are doing something about it, because we're told, you know, oh, you know, brush it under, oh, it's just that, or
Be
it's
strong.
the devil.
You letting
and,
that get to
know,
you.
If you were better in the Bible, you wouldn't be going through these problems now.
It's somehow the victim's fault, and we
Exactly.
taught that mentality, unfortunately, through generation by generation. It's always the victim's fault for getting that cool person in trouble, the one that everybody likes, and they think they're so great, and they're doing sick, sinister stuff. Something comes out and ruins that image they had in their head. Well, you're going to deal with some stuff. It's kind of, this is a tough topic to talk about. It really is, because we both know what could come of speaking about all this stuff out loud. There's going to be somebody's going to have something to say. Somebody's going to be mad about what's being talked about. It is what it is. This is how we feel. and I told you guys, we're in where I don't give a era. It like me, hate me. It do whatever you do. If you're my hater, be my biggest fan. I saw,
Right.
you know. If you love me and you support me, I love you. Period.
Right.
So, and this facility that you're talking about, is it going to have beds that where
Yeah.
people can have long-term care, or is it just a certain amount of time frame?
The model I want to set up is 2 beds per room. So if I get a 4-bedroom house, I can at least help 8 people.
Right.
I want to help women and children, because the other part I talk about in my book is generational abuse. You know, I was abused. My mother was abused. My grandmother was abused. It's this
Right.
pattern coming down. Somewhere it has to stop. And I'm all about let's make you the person that it ends at. You know, I told myself it stops with me. You know, I have 2 daughters, and I taught them from a very young age. Nobody touches you there. Nobody does this. Nobody says this to you. You
Right.
bring it to someone's attention. Funny story. My daughter was in kindergarten, and the school calls, and they're like, your daughter punched a little boy. And I'm like, my daughter is not a violent type of person.
Right.
And they're like, well, why did you? I said, why did you punch the boy? She said, you told me never to let anybody touch my vagina. And she said it right in front of everybody, and they were like, and I said, oh yeah, thank you. I
Right.
taught my daughter from a young age.
Right.
You know, you don't have to hug anybody if you don't want to hug them. Do not plop your behind on any man's lap.
Exactly.
You know, and it's a shame that we have to teach our daughters how to be defensive to get
Again.
by in the world.
Mm-hmm. And you don't really have to teach that to boys more. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's boys out there that do need it.
There's rules
But,
too.
yeah, that's what I said. But I taught my son and daughter, like, look, you know, you never know who's going to do what. And I know men can molest little boys and stuff like that. So I would be like, you know, Joshua, if this person's trying to get you alone and they try to get you in a situation, you run away immediately and run to the closest place, safest place, and call a number. And call 911. Make sure they call me. Told my daughter, if you see somebody coming on to you, get away from them. Do this. Punches where they kick at, all that. But sometimes, no matter how much you teach them, unfortunately, there's always somebody that's going to swerve around that game that they've been taught and do something the same result, but going around in a different way that catches them off guard. And it's disgusting behavior, but sadly we can't do nothing about these people that do this kind of thing.
I know. And my abuse, sexual abuse, started at age 7. And had someone told me what I told my daughter when she was 5, that wouldn't have happened. You know, but you know,
Right.
I was born in '69, so you know we're talking early '70s where people
Right.
didn't talk about that. You
Exactly.
didn't know about anything like that until you got to high school, if you were told in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all about Anchor's Foundation is education. I already have courses and modules
Oh,
up
that's
on the
good.
website on how to spot, recognize, how to get help. I'm adding them every other day. There's a website I'm a member of where you can buy the courses, put them together, and get them out there. So we're working on the membership part of that page so people
That
can
is a
go
blessing
on.
for help people.
Yeah, it's just resources are out there. People just don't know where to find them. The back of my book, I have 3 pages of resources for, you know, mental health, abuse, substance abuse, for LGBTQ, a whole section on LGBTQ,
Right.
because that's the most underrepresented area of mental health right now.
Because people want to actually say that as a they've got a mental disorder because they love who they love, and I'm just so over people. Everybody needs to be categorized. You notice that? Like, why does everybody have to have a category? Just let people be who they want to be, love who they want to love, and leave people alone. But there's too many people that I live my life this way. I don't like the way you're living it. I want to tell you how to run yours, tell you what to do, and I'm going to bully and badger you until you become what I want. And people that do that, what are you doing with your life? Like, you don't have anything better to do? I mean, really. Anyway.
Sometimes they don't. You know, unfortunately, with African American mothers,
Yeah.
they have to go out and work. They don't have care for kids all the time. The streets
Exactly.
are teaching those children.
And sometimes they get a hold of them and won't let go.
That's right.
Yes.
So this is a way for, if a woman's being abused at home, hey, come bring you and your child to this safe space. Even if it's just for a couple days, to get some help,
Right.
things like that. So that's where I want to be part.
Yeah.
The aftercare is what I call it.
Right. And to know that there is no limit to that you're saying, oh, you don't have to be out in 3 months, that's going to help a lot of people, because sometimes it takes a lot longer for others. So, well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of the second part. And I so much loved you being on here, just being able to talk about mental health and shed some light on some things you may not have known about, maybe find out about family members that are showing symptoms like what we talked about. Don't stigmatize them, help them get the help they need, and just love the hell out of them. That's all I can tell you. Like, don't turn your back when things get tough, because it's easy for everybody to do that. So, do you want to have any closing notes, Miss Renee?
You can Google Renee Ridley. Everything that I have is going to pop up. ReneeRidleyBooks.com, times5book.com. So, that you can read it online as well. And, reach out to me. My email is open. If you have questions, you need help, please reach out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because what you're doing, like I said, is a beautiful thing. People need help so much out here right now, and I love and appreciate you for coming on.
Thank
You guys
you.
stay tuned for these 2 episodes to be airing back to back, part 1 and part 2, and I will see you guys next time.